Hey, hi all, and welcome to Promethean Bryce. This is going to be the first of the long sort of requested tutorial videos. I'm just going to do a simple character and give you the sort of the basic idea of how to do what I do and how I do it. Again, just to reiterate what I've been saying multiple times on these videos, the other videos are just there for like a time lapse to see the general idea of me making a character rather than a full tutorial. But this one will be an actual tutorial. We're going to start with something, like I said, quite simple. So we're going to start with Jake the dog from Adventure Time. And like I said, it's just going to be a start to finish video on Blender. So just make sure you've got Blender installed on this one. And I'll try and go through the settings. And I think you can see the markers, but hopefully you can. Um, so the first thing we're going to do is I often will talk about on those videos that I put in a reference image. Now, I put in a reference image just so you can get a nice exact reference with heights, widths, and stuff, and lengths of a character. It just helps you gauge it a bit easier in the 3D space. Once again, you don't have to do this if you can't find a reference or you're confident enough to do it by yourself, then it's fine. But like I said, this is a proper tutorial, so we're going to do it the proper way. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select Alt and the middle button in your mouse, um, the scroll middle button, and you want to make sure that this is saying X to the left and Z up. Just that's the way I do things, and the way I remember it for the mirroring. Um, but yeah, so just delete everything in here first, if you've got that up, or if you haven't done that already. So, like I said, click the middle button on your mouse with Alt, and then slide until you get to the X on this side, if you see in this top corner. And then you're just going to add image reference, and then go to wherever you've put your reference, which I've just put mine in camera roll, and I've just called it tutorial reference. And it's Jake turning around. Forgive me, my voice is a little bit off still. Then you just want to resize that. You don't have to resize it too much, doesn't really matter. You're going to, whether it's small or not, you can resize the entire thing later, but just get it a decent size and then move it slightly back because we're going to work in the exact middle of this section here. So move it back and then try and move it as well so it's on the level. So you just want to go to that side bit again and move it so those feet are on that red line. And then you want that middle one as close to there as you can. And as you can see with this reference, it's a little bit wonky. All right, so just Control C and Control V, one of them, and just put it to the side quick. And then I'm just going to make sure that's level because it's a drawing, so it's a bit off. So what you're going to do with the second one, you want that as your side reference. You see the character in the reference from the side there. Just, if I can get the right one, change that to a 90-degree and then go from the Y to the side. And again, just put it so it's as close as it can be to the line and in the middle. Don't move it up or down at this point or you're going to get off the reference where it's off. Again, forgive me for this. This is my first tutorial on the so if I've missed anything or you need any help with something that I've missed, just comment in the section. Hopefully I've got it. I can do a good job. So yeah, so once you've done that, you've got your reference set up. So your front reference and your side reference. If you really wanted, you can do another one for 3/4. And back, the best way to do back though is just to duplicate this one. If you was going to do it, I'll just show you quick. Duplicate this one, push it forward, and then line it up with that one. That's if you wanted to do that. You don't have to do that. I'm not going to be doing that today because, for starters, he's only got like the small tail at the back, so it's not too big of a deal for me. So what I'll usually do at this point is like I say in all my videos, is the sort of the base layer, so the really simple shape layer, all separated out in parts so I can pose it later as well. So to do that, you just want to take a UV sphere and just place it in. And then what I tend to do, you'll probably notice in the videos, is that I tend to do this straight away just so it saves you time. So if you push this over to the side, far enough away, and then far enough down, so you're not intruding on any of the reference, just take that into sculpt mode, and then down these settings here where it's got these settings here, you want to go to, so there's modifiers, and you want to go to the one right at the top, tools, scroll down a little bit, and the one under this Dyn Topo, you can use that, but I find it's a little bit harder on Blender. If you was on, say, a different software, it would kind of do that for you, and it's probably better to leave it that way. But what I'll do is I'll just knock this down, say about at least a 9, but usually about an 8, just to give it a few more bits to work on, and then just press remesh. And then now that's already, if you go over the tool with your mouse or your drawing tablet, I'm using the drawing tablet as well as a mouse. It's best to use both, but you'll see that you can actually work on that now. It just remeshes it, making sure you can edit on it. But yeah, so I'll put one to the side just so I don't have to keep doing that. So now you go to your front view again with the Alt middle button, and then you'll Control C, Control V this one over here and just move it. On Blender, for some reason, it will, when you've duplicated something, it will select the other one as well. So you just want to quickly press off of that. You see how it's on a red now? I don't know if you can hopefully see that on the screen, but there's like a red. Click it again so it's on like a little bit more of an orangey color, just so you're not duplicating it on both. And then you're basically just going to get straight to work. So you put that as far as you can where you need it. So in this case, we're going to do the body as one entire section, just because it's quite simple, like I said. And with this, you don't want to, or you don't have to be to the point exact. As you can see around here, it's all quite wobbly because it's a drawn character. So you go back into sculpt mode, and the best way to modify these is to use the elastic deform. So you just click on that, make it is sort of quite big, around the 200 pixel range, depending on how big your size of your reference is. And then you're just going to go to the top section here where this little X, Y, Z is, and you want to press excuse me, X, like I was saying before, to get the side, and when I'm doing these first ones, Y just to get the back of it as well, just to keep the shape quite uniform. Then you're just going to move that to the shape of the character, which in this case just looks a little like, again, that you can see just beyond where this is, it's not exactly exact, but again, don't worry about it. And then just constantly resize the pen. So if it's bigger, you're going to use a big section to get an overall, but if you want to get these curves in, it's going to curve a load of them in, so you want to just drop it to about a 100 and get that shape. So you've got that shape there, and then you've got the front, and that's great. And then you can just go down the settings again and just press remesh with the 8 again for now. So just remesh that. If you want as well, you can hold shift and then use it to smooth it off. If you do that early, it helps later on. And you're just coming in and out of those viewpoints to see it there. So start as you got your front, and then you take away your Y on this one, and then you do the side. So you do the front first, then the side. Keeps it a little bit more consistent. And again, you're going to not have that perfect. And you see how these sort of jowls, this section here at the front of him, it's not actually attached, and it's also a separate piece in itself. So you want to keep that separate. So all you're doing is getting that first body shape, and then you're holding shift again. Just remesh, and just make sure that mesh is nice and neat and simple. And then you go to the front again, and you just quickly edit the front as well, because you're going to have slight little bit of change when you do the smoothing. And like I said, I've mentioned this in other videos, and I'll mention it now because it's important. If you go to the see-through mode, which is this one at the top, I'm hoping you can see that. I'm hoping you can see the thing. If not, I've not got the setting on. But if you look at this top where the little sphere is, and it's dark here, as the viewpoints there. If you go to the side, there's a button here which is highlighted blue. If you look at the top, that's going to help you do the X-ray mode. And you'll see how when I went into the side, it's gone slightly higher. I'll say to people, pick one or the other. So whenever you think's a little bit neater. Now, in my opinion, this side one's neater, so I'm going to use that as my major reference, just because it's going to be slightly off. So just if you're doing it, look into that. If it's a complex character, you're going to need to use that anyway. Be careful, because the more layers you're going to have on, it's going to block the viewpoint. But if you want to change that, you've got to go into the viewpoint settings, and down it will say X-ray. It's already ticked because I've got it on. And then you just want to change that from, if you want less or more, so full or not. I tend to have it quite dark just so you can see it. But once that's done, that's good. That's done for you. So you've done that first section. So really simple. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing for all of it. Like I said, if you watch the videos I've been doing, you'll see me just grab one, move it on. So always go back to object mode. Try not to move that. If you do, don't worry about it. Just try and replace it, but it shouldn't be too hard. Then you're going to grab the original sphere, go back into that, Control C, Control V across it again. Make sure it's on that yellowish look instead of the red. And then you just got to pick a next section. So I think we should do the ears. So resize the ball into where you can see it. Say pick a bottom or top. I'm going to go dead in the middle on this one. And then what you want to do is stick that X-ray mode on again. Grab it. Make sure you're on the right one. Sculpt mode. Same tool. Don't need to change the tool. Change the sizing. If it's off center, you don't need to use the X, because the X is just going to keep the symmetry the same. So it's left and right will be the exact same. If, like I said, this ear's angled down, you do not want it on. But you do still want the Y on, because you're going to do the back section of it. If you leave the back, it's going to make the mesh go sort of everywhere, and you want to keep it somewhat uniform. So then what you're going to do, you see how I've mismatched that a little bit, because I said I was using the side reference. Because I'm using the side reference, the ear will go out. So we're going to try and keep that same shape. So we're just going to change it just that little bit. And we're just going to mold this all the way around until you get a similar look to what's on here. And then you're going to do the same to the side. So you can turn it off. Remember, remesh. Press it in, and then with his ear here, you probably noticed this ear is a lot smaller than the one was at the front. I'm going to keep it similar to the one at the front, just because I feel like that's the more accurate version of it. Again, it's all about using your initiative a little bit. So you've got to come across, and then you're going to use this sculpt mode again, and then you can take off Y if you don't want it to be symmetrical, because I don't want it to be symmetrical here. And you just want to make it look like an ear. Again, just go play around with it a little bit. Just you don't have to keep it exactly the same. Just want to bring that in. So I've got like that basic ear shape, and I can look around and I can go, what does it look like? And I'd say that was good there. Make small adjustments. So I feel like that one should be smaller. And then once you've done that, go back into object mode, grab that one, because he's got 2 ears, Control C, Control V. Then you just want to right click, go to mirror, and then like I was saying before, because we made it quite neat, we now know that X is the value that's going directly opposite. So we're going to mirror that for the X, and we're going to try and place that just the same as we did on the first one. I'll show a technique which I use later to try and mirror things a little bit easier. I'm not still. I mean, if you've got anyone has any advice on the comments of how to mirror things from a point, it'd be great, because usually you use that middle section on other softwares, but I can't seem to figure it out on Blender. So I'll do it a bit different. But there you go. That's 2 ears and the body done. What we're going to do next, I'm going to leave the arms and hands to legs just because they're a little bit sort of difficult. Again, we're leaving them separated because each part's going to move later. So you've got that one, and you've got that one, and now we're going to do these jowls, like I said. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, so again, we're going to Control C, Control V back from that one. Make sure we're on the correct section, put it in the middle, just turn it to the side so we can bring it out. Put on our X-ray. Press S, by the way, to resize something. Quick key. And we're going to place that right in the middle, because what we're going to do is we're going to get the sculpt mode, and we're going to get to the elastic deform again, and then we're going to use the X for this one, and then just draw it out. I'll show you this without the on. We're going to move it to the side like that, and then move it up and down, up and down and up. And there's a good way of doing this. If you see these corners starting to move, it's going to mess up the mesh. So you need to remember to every now and then press remesh, so it's making it neater, and then remesh, and then that way it will stay nice. And then all you're doing is trying to match that shape. Just with every character, it's just about trying to match the shape as much as possible. Again, that's a little bit more than I wanted there, so you're going to remesh, take that off, and then we're going to just smooth that. Every time you smooth it, it will make it shorter. So just remesh it and keep it neat like that. And then again, you're going to go to the side, turn to keep the X on, to keep that symmetry, and then bring it round. Try and get it as close to that as you can. And if we look at that, it's come out a little bit. We just want to make that a little bit bigger. Again, we're using our initiative on this one. And then you've got the section there for his little jowls. And after you've done that, I would say we'll do the eyes next. Spheres for eyes. So we'll use the sphere again. If you need to use, not all the time, a sphere will be the best tool, but you have all your tools, your planes. If you want something flat, your cubes. If you need something hard surface, circles. Again, if you need a hard surface but cylindrical. UV spheres, ISO spheres, you don't really need to worry about. Toruses, if you need anything with holes in or hoops or something. But yeah, you can change them, and you just do the same method what I said before. You get the cube in, for example. We'll just quickly do one now. You get the cube in. If you want to keep it hard surface, don't remesh it. Just use the edit mode like you would do with any other one, and move it around if it's hard surface. But if you do need this to look organic, you go to object mode, again, go to sculpt mode, and like I said before, turn it down to like an 8 or something, remesh, and then you can start modeling that around. But like we don't need that anyway. It's just a little bit of advice if you're just using this tutorial, not actually doing the character that I'm using now. So yeah, you'll grab that and make sure it's the right one again. Turn it to the side, make sure you've got enough space out. Control, not sorry, just S, no control for that one, just resize it. And then use your X-ray tool to see where to place it. Oops, be careful with that. You want to move it, by the way, with this middle white one. If you move it around, it's going to turn it around. Or you can use these tools themselves. But if you want to move it as a whole, just do that. Now, again, the eyes here are slightly different. So I've got the size of the first one, but we're going to use the placement of the side. So they'll be off on the first one. And then you just Control V in that, put it in the same space. Now, if I'm looking at that, I'm thinking that's still a little bit too wide. So, in fact, I think I'll go with, I'll change my mind on that one. We'll delete that one. And we'll go with the original. Because it feels closer. And remember, this second eye is going to be in more just because it's not the same as the second one. Exactly. Again, you're just going to be using your eyes for this one, eyeballing it. And I'd say that was about the correct pace for that one, placement. Okay, now I'm going to quickly add something here. If you go back to your original one and go into sculpt mode and then go down all the way to the one that says paint. And we're just going to add some paint on to separate these parts out so we know what we've done and we haven't done. And I'm just trying to get that sort of yellow. It doesn't have to be the exact one yet. Well, that's good enough for me. I'll use that. So just colour in the model. Be careful with this because once you've put the paint on, you have to do another paint layer. You can't remove it for some reason. I've tried to research if you can, but you can't. You just got to kind of live with it. So I'll just do that for all the pieces together. It makes it look cooler anyway, and you've got a, it helps you just keep on track and see if you're getting the right look. Just make sure every piece is coloured and in. So yeah, so I'm constantly going around, you'll notice, with the middle tool. So you click on that middle alone, move it around, zoom in by rolling the slider in and up and down. And you can just have a look in the 3D space of what your character is looking like, making sure it's correct. So with the eyes, you'll see he's got sort of the eyelid that goes around. If you look on the reference at the back, just behind the eye. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab this here and I'm going to Control C, Control V that one. and then increase the size. And then make sure you're grabbing on that one. Then I'm going to bring it in and push it back. And then what we're going to do, so you squeeze that, brought it back. Again, it's all based on how you feel you're going to do it, because you might want to do it different to me. But this is just the way I'm going to be doing it for the tutorial. And then you're going to use that move tool and you're going to move it around. So move it back, move up, remember to remesh as you're doing it. Oh, and you'll see I make mistakes as well. We're going to go back. If you followed me, just Control Z all the way back to the initial one, because we've forgotten to put the X on. And now do that. So remesh, bring it around, push it back, and try and get that overall shape where he's got a little bit of the eyelid on here. And you want to do the same this way. So we've got that one, and we're going to take away the X just because the head sort of comes around here. So that one's going to be a little bit different. What you can do is rotate it. So if you go back to object mode, pick this one here, which is transform, use the blue, and just rotate it so we can get that section out there. And also just make it a little bit wider. And then, like I said, just bring it out. So you've got the whole section there. And then remember, remesh. And then smooth it off. And that's, to me, that feels correct. So then we're going to get the paint tool and just paint that one in yellow. Now, the easiest way to do this, if you aren't constantly editing things, just put the second one in to give you a guidance of where you are. But every now and then, when you do something new on one side, delete the original one and copy and paste the new ones over, and then just keep doing that, and you'll get the hang of it eventually. It can be a bit annoying to get used to, but it just helps keep everything neat. Now, what we're going to do with this, to get smoother eyes when you do this remesh technique, is just go into edit mode, select all by pressing A, right click, and then press subdivide. And then grab your object again, go to smooth mode, and just make sure you're on the deform tool, hold the shift, and just go around it and smooth it off. Because what we're going to do, again, we're going to duplicate this over in a minute anyway. We're going to, if I get this right, just trying to go off memory, but if we go to pictures, I do have a picture. So yeah, there we go. I have done it wrong there. So the bit around is actually black, not yellow. So what we want to do, let's go to sculpt mode, make sure we're on the paint section. And when we're doing black, just try and make it just a little bit up so it's not fully black. It will just help out. And then you're just going to do the same to the other one. You don't need to duplicate this over. You can just quickly go into sculpt mode and do the same thing. If it's a paint, as long as it's not a complicated paint job, you can actually do it that way. If it's, say, you've got a pattern on here, you would probably want to duplicate it across. Oh, tell you what I haven't done. Little spoiler there for one of my next videos. I'm just gonna Control save it and call it Jake the Dog, and save the blender file, just because obviously we don't want to lose the information there. Right, so now we're going to do the nose section here. So we're just going to grab the ball that we had before. If you do accidentally forget to copy and paste that, just don't worry about it. Just redo it again. Just grab one. It just takes a little bit more time. It's not nothing to panic about. So again, we're going to just grab that tool there. I'm gonna keep mine the width it is, just 'cause it's a little bigger, and we're gonna just use the lengthening tool here, just to make it a little bit more nose-like. Go to sculpt mode, and then paint that black as well. And if we go back, I will see that's a little bit more into object mode. Grab it so it just comes out. And remember, we made that a little bit bigger, so we're going to make that a little bit bigger as well. And then Control S to make sure we're saving every now and then. Okay, so that's that front bit done. Let's have a look. What we'll do now is we'll do the arms. Now, I'm going to do this way. But what you could do, there's two ways. You can do it the way I've been doing it. Or what you can do is you can add a curve and do it. I'll teach that in a later video, another video, because we don't need it for this one. If you've seen Adventure Time, you'll know that the cartoon characters' arms bend and move around. So you don't need to worry about doing this in two sections because there's no harsh angling going on. So if we was to do a pose later, we can just move it like we've been using. I'll show you now. Look, if we move this one down, so we grab this one, remember always hit the Y and up and down and just try and get that shape. Don't worry about any of the thingies yet. And just try and get as thin as you can. In and out. Just constantly moving it around. Making sure it looks roughly the way we want it. Again, remesh. On this one, you might want to drop this down to say a 7 because there's a little bit more going on. Smooth it and then move it around. Leave the fingers for now. And then remember, we're going back to the front bit. And then we'll just go on object mode and we'll move that so it's middle. And then we'll actually just skinny that off because it's actually almost there. Maybe tilt it just a little bit. Bring that back on. And then you want to grab your... Okay, so this we'll quickly see this now and I'll show you a technique. So if you grab this and go to sculpt mode and do this, take the X off and just move it. One sec, sorry, I took the wrong one off. You'll see that you can change the position of the arm without moving it around. If it's a simple character, you can do that. Obviously, if it's a human character, you'll need to bracket the upper and the lower arm and the hand because all those are going to move differently because they'll stay straight. If it bends, though, you can move it around. And then all you're going to do, let's go to sculpt mode again. So while we're here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to flat because it looks more cartoony and more anime-like. And you can have cavities or the shadow. Again, with the cartoon, we'll just add a little bit of extra shadow. Just helps you out. But if you want to grab that color, so if we go to paint, and you'll notice if I go onto the color grabber, and we had a shadow in, I'll just show you this first. It was going to get the wrong color. So if you notice that that's happening, all you need to do is go back into these settings, take away any shadow or cavity, and go to flat. Because if you do it on Studio, it's going to be showing these fades. So go to flat and it will give you the flat color. Then select that flat color, put your shade back on, and then you've got the perfect color. And then what you want to do is go back to object mode. and Control C and Control V. Remember to mirror them by right clicking and moving it on the X, and then you've got 2 arms. Now, personally, what I would do to get the legs here is, because they're quite a similar shape, just Control C and V the arm, lower it to the leg section. Remember to grab that one, and then go into sculpt mode, and then just move this one with the Y on to match the leg. And then you're going to do that with the same with the, and we'll go to object mode, line it off. It's that simple. Sculpt mode. In fact, I'd say his leg was a bit thinner there. So if we just drag that in. Now his foot's going to move at a harsh angle, so we're going to do that separately. So there you go. You've got one leg. We're going to grab that, Control C, Control V it over, put it where it needs to be, right click, X global, and then put it where it needs to be. Again, we're a bit wider on this, so we're going to be there. And then we've got his little foot booty. Again, this is with these references, they're always going to be 3/4. So you want to get a general look of it. If you can get one to the side, that's great, but you'll find that it's 3/4. To do that, just take a good look at it, and you can see that basic shape is quite round. On this one, it's quite easy. So we're going to copy that, but do it off. So I'm going to grab it, make sure it's that one again, resize with the S tool, bring it around, and we're going to put it right in front instead of to the side. Go to the side view, and we're going to press the X on this one, not the Y, just because it's going to go back and forth. And keep that general shape, but remember that's at 3/4, so just make it slightly bigger. And remember to resize these as much as you need. Try and make that a little bit flat by pulling it down a bit more, and increase the size just a little bit because it's from a different view. And then at the front, all you're going to do with that is make sure that that is round. So if you can't do it from the front because it's a bit difficult there with feet, what you want to do is go back into your normal settings and move it around. Now I'd say they're quite thin, small, so do that way. And I'd say that was correct. Then remesh. Remember to always remesh afterwards, because when you're moving these like polygons around, it's going to make a really horrible mesh underneath. So if you remesh, it keeps it neat, and it also keeps it low poly in that, so you don't overdo it and over stress out your computer. Right, so we've done that, and we're going to we've left the yellow one, so we don't need to reselect it, and we're just going to go over it. Oh, remember, we're going to be on flat, so we're there. And you're just going to color that one, and you do the same. Now this is equal on both sides, but if you wanted to just play it safe, duplicate it, and you can still press X, but it probably won't move because it's sort of point for point. And essentially that's the whole thing done, really, to be honest. I mean, we got the tail and that to do in a minute, but I'm just going to quickly point out that would usually be the stage of a sculpt I'm doing before I add details and then finals. So what I mean by that is, this is a basic shape. Let's say you had abs, we'll draw the abs in, and then on the final stage we'll make sure all those abs are in the correct place, the correct depth of the final one. But like, this doesn't need any more than what it's got. So all we're going to do is quickly add the tail in. Again, it's just grabbing it, duplicating it, making sure you're on the right section, S, place it into position. On this one, we're going to be able to bring it across. And we'll try and fit that right in the middle. Usually, early on in the stages, you'll see a direct line across the middle, and that's how you can get the exact middle. I don't know if you could see that, but if you can see just where this blue line is, you see there's a line where the basic mesh is. And that's obviously the middle line, so we can just put that where the middle is. And then with this, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. What you want to do is go to sculpt mode. You can paint that now, really, if we wanted. And then go back to the side mode, get your elastic deform tool, put it high up. I'm going to say, let's say 100. You can actually type this in if you're struggling, but I just like kind of quickly doing it. And again, you're just following, cutting in and out, and then you want to remesh, smooth. And if you want to get that point of the tail smooth, keep smoothing until you get a harsher edge. So you just keep smoothing along. Make sure you've got that X on. And if we have a look at the tail from the side of this back one, it's quite thin, so we'll just make it thinner. Do that easier, you can actually go to object mode and just pull that red one in. I'm going to keep it a little bit thick because mine's a little bit thicker. And then just go back into sculpt mode. And I'm just personally thinking that's a little bit in need of some movement. And we're going to go really small to get those. The smaller you go, the more accurate you're going to get the movement, but also this we can work with. But if it becomes wide, it's only going to, I'll show you, if I use this exact size on this front bit, for example, you get to sculpt mode, it's going to pull out, you see how it will pull out just that part? So the smaller you go, remember that it's going to take out these bits. That's why I say do it bigger, because bigger is going to grab all of the mesh in that area rather than just a tiny portion. And then, sorry about that noise, it's my laptop, but it's a great laptop, so. And there you go. I think that would be, to me, again, if you wanted to do the method where you're looking in, we can really get that accurate. And there you go. So that's the tail done. So just to recap, that's all the basic parts done, and we've basically done Jake the dog here. He's looking really good. You went from doing the body, moving it from the front, then the side, the ears to the jowl, then the eyes, the eyelids, arms, legs, and feet. Again, with every character, it's always the same. It's just obviously the particular sizes and movements that you need to make are different, but the overall idea is the same. And we're just going to quickly mess with the tools here. So if we go to flat again, up into our settings at the top, I want to make this look a little bit more cartoony. So what we're going to do, what we can do is actually go to, if you wanted a proper cartoony, you can do that on matcap and get your studio cell light. But I do prefer flat. And I like to put on a world cavity. And what this cavity does is just all these harsh edges, it will darken them off. And it just makes it A, look a bit more realistic, and B, gets it looking a lot more smooth. And if you press this little thing to the setting, you can actually change where the light is. And I want the light coming, say, slightly up and high. And you can also change all your shadow focuses. One of these will actually change it to make it harsher. And we're going to make it quite harsh because, again, it's cartoon. So you noticed how that looks a lot better? Yeah, that's how I'll get the sort of the final images. And you can mess around with them as much as you need. Oh, I have forgotten to quickly duplicate that eye over because we did smooth it. So just want to duplicate that and put it that way. But yeah, that's what he looks like. So he's all done here. Right, so we're going to get in now into the second stage because he has a mouth. And to do the second stage, what you need to do is go into sculpt mode. So grab the base one again. Make sure you've remeshed it, but this time we're going to take the mesh because we're going to crease the mouth. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But what we're going to do, because we're going to crease it, we're going to need a lot more mesh. So we're going to take it down to about a 4 and remesh that. Now we have more to play with. And then we're just going to do a smile on him on this one. So you go to this tool here called, it's literally called crease. And you want to remesh it quite small because it's going to pinch together this mesh. You want it quite small. Keep the strength the way it is. And we're going to be taking away, not adding. So this plus means add, so you're going to add depth. The minus is minus, so you're going to take away depth. So all we're going to do is go back to the front and we're going to give him a smile. And you crease it in like that. So you've got a smile, and then you're going to remesh it and you'll see it will go away. Smooth it and then just do it again. Just keeps it neat. And then just to give it a little bit of a poke out, go to the draw. So this is going to draw mesh on. Similar thing to draw sharp, just going to draw it sharper. You can add layers with the clay section. But what, and this is, if you go to layer, it helps later on, or if you add in sort of simple details. But if you add in stuff like layers, you can only do it once or it's going to add on top. So always do that in one swoop. Anyway, but we're not doing that. We're going to do the draw tool. We're going to bring that up to about 50. Keep it at 5 and just draw a bit more around it. Because all we're doing that way is making that top lip stick out. And then again, you're going to go remesh, smooth. So, sorry, go back to your original one. And before you do it, you want to keep that shape. And if you want to keep that shape, you're going to, again, you're going to have more vertices. So we're going to go to a 2. And we're going to shoot the shape, smooth it out. And you see how that mouth went in again? Just going to smooth that one, go back to there, go back to crease and crease it again. And it's going to keep that nice and sharp. And that's part of it done. I mean, I hope you've enjoyed the process of making that quite simple character. It really helps do simple things when you're starting out, so you can get used to the tools before you start getting into over complex stuff. Like I've said in my videos before, I'm still learning myself, so every time I'm doing a sculpt, I'm trying new techniques. So if you feel like you can do something better, do it better. If you just go outside the box a little bit. Don't do everything I've done point for point if you feel like you can do it better. Now, I don't think we've done that because what we're going to do, I haven't given him his fingers because I personally think in the anime you don't, in the cartoon you don't actually see his fingers that often. They're quite messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do one extra step. We're going to go back to the arm and we're going to add. So go to edit mode. Remember, this is the sorry, not edit mode, sculpt mode. Remember, this is go round 2. We're going to give him a thumb. So make the radius on that quite big. Like I said, we're going to add detail, and more detail means more mesh is needed. So let's go to a 4 again. In fact, and let's go to a 2. Remesh, and then add a bit of a thumb. Smooth it off. Use the crease tool very lightly to separate it from the first section. And with that, we can quickly, and then use the move tool, and we can give him like a little mitt, because that's how I feel in Adventure Time Cheek's arms are. They're more of a mitt, if you ask me. So now you've got a little bit of a finger there. If you're doing fingers, you just want to add them one by one. I'll do a tutorial doing a hand, a foot, a face, and a body separately. I think I might do them all. I'll do it in parts, but I'll do them separately, one by one. Just quickly duplicate this. So remember, Control C, Control V, mirror, X global, and then move it to the position it needs to be at. And that's your Jake the Dog done. That's what I like to call the animation version. So what you can do with once you've done that is actually move it to a T pose. So it makes it easier to weight paint. I'm going to add that there, so where the elbow joint goes, and then we're going to do the same for that one actually. X global. And then he's in a T pose, ready to animate, or ready to weight paint. But just Control C that here. And what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that ball now because we don't need it. And usually I'll tell you to duplicate the file to do this, but because he's quite a simple character, all we'll do is select them all, Control Z, Control V, and move them all the way across here. And then what we're going to do is pose him, because we're going to do exactly what I do in my videos. So you want to go back into your reference. So add. So you want to add image reference, and then we're going to add that cheek reference that we saw a minute ago. This doesn't have to be exact. We're just going to look at it in the background, and we're just going to do this pose. So to do this pose, all you need to do is grab him. So you look at him and you go, he's got his smile. His ears will probably be a little bit more down. So all you need to do is turn your ears in. I'd say just to give it a little bit of depth, probably move it a little bit forward. He's already smiling, doing that. And his legs are going to be slightly bowed here. So we're going to grab this, go to sculpt mode. And remember, like I was saying before, make sure all these are unticked. Grab it quite high and bend the leg in. 1 second, I've got the wrong one. Oh, no, sorry, I do have the right one. So object mode, we'll grab that one. And we're just going to bend this leg in and bring it back. And then instead of doing that to the second one, because they're both the same, we'll just do what we did, but we'll do it backwards. So Control C, Control V, mirror, X, and place that way. And then what we're going to do is just going to grab that whole top section because he's quite angled down. So what we'll do is we'll angle him slightly down. And then we're going to do the same thing with his arms. So we're going to bring him back down. If we just delete that one, we can grab this one, bring it down, put it in its section, lead it forward. So we're going to put it flat because we're going to be bending that middle bit. So you just want to try and aim it, say there, and then you're going to get in. Again, you've got to use your initiative on this one and bend it in. Try and keep that form as much as you can. Remember, if you need to, remesh it and smooth it. And then bring it across. And then we're also going to bring that one around because I would have done the hand separate if I'd actually realized that it did that, but I didn't at first. So there's something to do on the next one. And all you're going to do is grab that and just make sure it's still quite thick. Do that and try and angle that just so it's a little bit more of an angle. I'd say that was correct. Just make sure that's brought out. All we're doing is posing him. And duplicate him out and do that. And that's your Jake the dog in pose. So we're just going to delete that background because we don't need it no more. And what we'll do is I have missed a step. I'll show you on this new one. After you've done him, you want to join him together. So if you grab all the parts that need joining, just grab all those parts there, join them. So all you press is right click, then you want join up here, and you press join. Then I'll quickly show you if you move that, it will go all the way there. You want to join that tail as well. Once you've joined them, you want to go to sculpt mode and you want to remesh, and you want to remesh to a low value. And we use 2, so we're going to use it remesh at about 0.15. That's going to remesh the entire section. It's going to take a little time, but once it's done, all these will be joined. Then all you want to do after that is shift smooth all of the pieces together so it joins them all as one one mesh, so it doesn't look separated. Obviously, if you need something to be separated, don't do this. But what you want to do is just go around the whole thing. You can mess around with the settings. But that's joined them in there. And like I said, you can mess around with the settings because I feel like he doesn't actually need. Because the more pieces you have, the less the value needs to be. The less pieces, the more the value. So we probably might be able to get rid of 4 on that, to be honest. And then, like I said, it stops your computer from slowing down and gives you a better thing. It gives you better stuff to work with. And that's all done. So that's it. So what you would do there is you just have a look around. So you go back to object mode and you go, is it correct? That's obviously you need to make sure it's correct before you do it. Obviously, I think it is. And if you press this little button on the top with the two circles that are overlapping, it will get rid of all your other one. And you've got your JT dot there, and you've got them in pose, which you can export out to print. I'll stick this one on my Squarespace, not Squarespace, my buy me a coffee if you want to buy this one for like £1 or something. Or I've got a £7 membership where you can actually buy all my stuff or just support me. So if you support me for £7 a month on buy me a coffee, you'll get every time I do an upload, you'll get the file to print off or just to keep. And you're just supporting me at the end of the day. And it's Promethean Bryce on obviously the same as YouTube as Instagram, and I also have a Squarespace site at prometheanbryce.square.site, which will all be linked in the video anyway. That's it for the video. If you follow the tutorial like bit for bit, you're going to get the exact same result, or something very close to it. And like I said, if you use your initiative a bit, you can actually make it a little bit better or whatever you need to do. And it helps you just get a bit started into making your own characters. I will do more tutorials going by with more difficult characters, because I understand that even doing this can be a little bit of a workload, and I want to separate out for stuff like realistic faces or stuff like that. So I will get into that further on down the line, but this just shows you how I've done things, how I actually go about doing things, and it gets you a really nice, simple start, and it's not overly complicated, so you can actually feel good when you're getting into there and just learn the basic steps, learn how to get simple shapes, because at the end of the day, all modeling either on 3D or even using clay is just doing shapes and then adding them shapes and merging it together and cutting out pieces. But there you go. I hope that's come across really well. Like I said, it's the first tutorial I've properly done. I hope I've explained myself well. If not, and you need a little bit more advice, like I said, just comment in the section underneath and I'll try and do a video to explain that thing that I've missed. Or if some people need to know, I'll do a video on that. Drop me some ideas for any characters that you want to see, or characters that I could tutorial to show you. But yeah, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to be uploading more as time goes by, both tutorials, but mainly I'll be uploading my models every 2 weeks. So you get in that subscription, like I was talking about earlier, you'll get 2 models a month, and there'll be 2 videos a month on YouTube. Just because it takes a while to do, and you've got to do the videos and that as well. But yeah, like I said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.